Now, I could talk about many, many parameters that are going faster than the models, which indicates that the radiative force in the heat engine is accelerating ahead of expectation. And what's doing that is the feedback cycle. So let's summarize. Almost all the systems known to affect climate change are in net positive feedback, net amplifier. And each feedback is its own cycle of acceleration. But think, the output of increased temperature from each feedback feeds into the drivers of all the other feedbacks, right? So it's a mutually interactive, mutually reinforcing set of subsystems. And as a whole, it's what we call a second-order feedback dynamic. Feedback on feedback. And when I did one of my first presentations to the Scientific Committee of the European Environment Agency in February 2006, I said to the director, I don't expect this phenomenon will be showing for decades. She said, don't you believe it, David? I said, temperature goes up very slowly. She said, yes, but once it starts to move significantly, it sets off this second-order process, which can be very unstable and move things forward, accelerating. And within a year, we had an email from Dennis Bushnell from Messrs. Langley Research Centre saying warming is accelerating greatly, especially recently. And this was before the 2007 ice melt. NASA was picking up acceleration in parameter after parameter. 2 years on from that, it's way up and way active, accelerating more and more quickly. Please don't send this email around. He said his job was at risk under the Bush administration. Now I don't worry about that, and nor does he. About the same time, Jim Hansen sent out the first draft of the paper on carbon targets, which have been published this year and underlie the 350.org campaign. Earth's climate, very sensitive to forces, to feedbacks, positive feedbacks dominating the system. So the system with small shunts moves into big changes. This is what he means by whipsaw. And our greenhouse gas emissions have placed the Earth very close to dramatic change that can run out of control. And as Mark said, when a system goes out of control, it has a potential for violence. And when we're subject to a system that is going out of control, we are ourselves in a condition that will precipitate violence in all kinds of ways. So the loss of control is an issue. We lose the point where we can intervene and restabilize the climate. So that's what I want to look at in perhaps my last 5 minutes, roughly. It's halfway between my 25 and my 45. So you'll be shouting but not speaking.
David, 5 minutes.
5 minutes, that's what I just said. Thank you. He doesn't look happy, does he?
I'm smiling.
This is smiling. Okay, let's go.
It's feedback.
Beyond the tipping point. Over the edge, which is where I very nearly am. Tipping points. An attractor base that represents behaviours during the glacial, interglacial period, fairly stable, fairly contained, very variation within it. We've pushed it up and over the watershed, where positive feedback overwhelms the containers and begins to move us over the hill. Don't talk about my age, some people will get with it. I'm going to take a cross-section from there to there. Okay? Here we are, the original stable state, the unstable equilibrium just on the cusp of the tipping point where positive feedback balances the containers. Now positive feedback is pushing it into acceleration. Runaway behaviours, if you can find an intervention from outside the system at this point, can be pushed back over into stable behaviour. But if you leave it too long, they can't. They gather too much momentum. So I'm introducing the concept of a critical threshold, which is the point beyond which positive feedback overwhelms what we can do to restabilise the system. In economics terms, it's the cost of climate stabilisation. It doesn't just increase linearly or go up a bit exponentially, as in the Stern report, and I think we'll be looking at Stern later, which doesn't do what he thought it would do, because this is what really happens. As the power of positive feedback builds up to that critical threshold, the costs do that. And beyond that point, whatever we throw at the system, we can't stop it going into runaway behaviour. So let's put those two together. There's that unstable equilibrium. We're somewhere over the hill coming this way. We're approaching a critical threshold beyond which we lose complete control. And we put that into a three-dimensional thing. We've got a landscape with the valley of the contained glacial and deglacial period. The unstable equilibrium is the hilltop, if you like, the watershed. And business as usual pushes us over that, through the critical threshold, and into a major extinction event. Actually, I'll go back a lot, I think. Maybe I can. Yes, it does. Wonderful. Kyoto slows it down a little bit, but still takes us to the extinction event. An intervention strategy is now required much more stringently, much more quickly. It's going to be messy, and it means powering down on anything that adds to the stock of CO2, greenhouse gas, increased radiative forcing. Bringing that to a halt. There's nothing in that natural system to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. And keep it active while the temperature goes on playing catch-up, because it does. And that activates more of the feedback. So we have to maintain an intervention strategy of great power and intervention strength during the period of climate change, temperature change. And make it happen while that feedback is still. Climate stabilisation, then, is the strategic imperative for tomorrow's world. So how bad is bad? We're in a system with massive instability, is very close to the critical threshold, beyond which we have triggered not just 2 degrees, or 3 degrees, or 4 degrees, but an event which takes us into the 11s and 16 degrees of a major extinction event. Managing that boundary is now a totally different ballgame from anything we have been attempting to achieve institutionally, technically, lifestyle change, negotiate. How we do it? Can we do it? Barack Obama says. Will we do it is a different order of question. And on that one, the jury is still out. We don't. We're clear. Thank you very, very much indeed for allowing me that extra bit. There's an enormous amount more of that. Particularly in the lectures, I do take you very much further into the detail and into strategic interventions that can make the difference. So make sure you get a copy.